Hello everybody, this is Trevor Slescu, owner of Monster Hobbies in High River, Alberta, Canada. Alright, so I am making a kind of a different type of video. I was thinking about the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Cities of Sigmar book coming out. Now this is going to be a really cool book. It's actually going to be arriving here today. This is Friday, Friday, October 4th, so the thing is due to release tomorrow, and I'm getting mine today. And when I'm making this video right now, I don't have the new book. Not yet. Hope it comes. Alright, but anyway, so I'm here to talk about the new Games Workshop computer that GW just announced that actually has come out, and actually this is all just in my head. Okay, but here's how it works. Alright. So now with the new Cities of Sigmar book, everything is based on keywords, okay? This is what the video is about. So we have keywords on Warscrolls and we have no keywords on certain Warscrolls. So the way the computer works is it's a big machine with 3 toggle switches on it right now. When you switch one switch on, it unlocks certain things. When you go to the next switch, it unlocks other certain things, and when you do the final switch, it unlocks other different certain things. This is the Games Workshop Warscroll computer. So here's how it goes. So originally when we were still all playing 8th edition and then End Times came and it flipped into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, every model in the lineup currently at that time got a Warscroll update. So we had things like, okay, so I play dwarf, so I'll go from the dwarf angle. So like the dwarf lord on the shield with the 2 guys holding it up, he was still current in there. Okay, that model was still current in there, so he got a Warscroll update. Joseph Bugman got a Bugman update, all this stuff. This is 2015. Oops. So what happened is, in 2016 or 17, one of those 2 years, kind of foggy in my memory, but they redid those Warscrolls and they called that the Compendium. And that's when they brought out the original Grand Alliance Order, Grand Alliance Chaos, Grand Alliance Death, and Grand Alliance Destruction books. So some of these guys shifted over to Compendium. So the 2015 Warscrolls were gone, replaced by the Compendium ones. Okay, so then, see, I've got a book. I made this in 2015 and I've been updating it. So when those guys went to Compendium, we got these kind of Warscrolls. And I think you can still find these on the GW website. So what happened is all these models that got on here, if you own them or can find them on eBay or some collector's store or whatever, you can still play them if you have these Warscrolls. However, when they split and made the original book there, they did stuff like they added in the dispossessed keyword for dwarfs, right? So any of these earlier Compendium guys you could still play, but guess what? They're no longer part of dispossessed, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. So what are they? Well, they're forces of order, right? So just remember that part. Okay, so anyway, we got into the first revised. So we had our Thunderers, our Warriors, our Quarrelers, you know, the Unforged, and the Iron-Wheeled Arsenal had the cannons and the organ guns, okay? So now this time they got all the guns and stuff went to Iron-Wheeled Arsenal and all the other guys went to Dispossessed, right? However, with that keyword order, you could still, in your core rule book, if you wanted a full-out dwarf army, you couldn't use them as Dispossessed because then the Compendium guys and Iron-Wheeled Arsenal all become allies. And as you know, you can play allies, but you only get like a certain percentage. Like, I think it's 200 points in a 1,000 point game, right? So you couldn't bring your organ guns, your warriors, your blah, 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 and have it like a full solid line. You had to pick, okay, do I want Dispossessed or what, right? And then add in an ally, unless you played them as forces of order. So there's the allegiance abilities out of our core rule book, right? And this is the allegiance abilities for order. Now, the allegiance abilities, of course, are progression as we went along in our Age of Sigmar, prior to Cities of Sigmar, right? So now what's happened is, again, we see a shift. The other part of this I was going to say is that in your General's Handbook, if you want to play your Dispossessed, there's the allegiance abilities for them. So you had a choice, either play that army as Order or as Dispossessed, and then have any other models you wanted in as allies. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, with Cities of Sigmar, what's happened is I printed these war scrolls off. I ran out of blue ink, so it looks kind of gross, but I printed one black and white here, just a sec. Here, the Hammerers. Okay, so let's look at this here. There's the Hammerers War Scroll. Now you'll notice they have 3 keywords. So the keywords are your toggle switches in the new computer, right? So here's what's happening. So you have Order, Cities of Sigmar, which is the new book that I'm going to get later today and release tomorrow, and Dispossessed. So now with these war scrolls, you have the computer happening. Okay, so remember these allegiance abilities? Okay, so here's how it goes. If you want to play a full-on Forces of Order, all dwarves with all your old models, like what I have, right? Because I've been collecting since 2006. So I've got like Thoric Iron Blow on the Anvil of Doom and all this stuff, right? So if you want those guys in with your Warden King and with you know, these war scrolls and whatever, you have to play it as Forces of Order. Okay? So what happens there is everything in this book on the allegiance abilities is your army. So this is with the toggle switch on. So that means technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you could not use the Dispossessed abilities. You could not use the new Cities of Sigmar abilities. You must play it only using Forces of Order and the Order allegiance abilities from this book. So that's toggle switch number 1. Turned on. Okay? So anything that applies to that allegiance ability thing goes for your whole army. Okay, so keep that in mind. Toggle switch number 2 is using the Dispossessed allegiance abilities. And that means that all your War Scroll guys, I'll just use these as an example, that have Dispossessed in the keyword, they all turn on as the army, right? However, the guys that don't, like out of the Compendium here, bear with me. Okay, Warden King on Throne of Power. If you'll notice, he does not have the Dispossessed keyword, so all of a sudden he becomes an ally. Okay, so he's over there on an ally. Same with Ironweald Arsenal. They became allies to Dispossessed because Ironweald Arsenal doesn't have Dispossessed in the keyword, okay? Now that they released Cities... Oh, sorry. Because they don't have that in the keyword, only the Dispossessed guys can affect Dispossessed guys, right? The previous guys that don't have the Dispossessed keyword are now all allies that are neutral, free-running agents on their own accord. And that's what happened with the Warden King on Throne of Power. If you read his abilities, right? Great Book of Grudges. At the start of the first battle round, pick an enemy unit on the battlefield. Reroll failed wound rolls for this model. This model. Reroll failed wound rolls for this model for attacks made against that enemy unit. So the Warden King of Power in the 2015 War Scroll had Dispossessed, and it used to say he affects all other Dispossessed units, and then he can cast his thing out, his ability out, to make your Dispossessed units, sorry, your dwarf units or whatever. Yeah, no, they were Dispossessed. So he could send it out. So he could be like, okay, get, you know, all you warriors get rid of that guy, right, or whatever, or all you guys get to re-roll your failed wound and roll, whatever. But then when they did the update, because Games Workshop wants you to use the most current Warscroll, so that's why I don't have the 15 ones here. But at this stage, he is an independent free agent, much the same way as now Gortrek Gunnarsson is working as his own free, unique agent. So these guys, unless they have the order, unless you're doing it as an order army, Warden King on Throne of Power cannot affect anybody but himself. He's very selfish. Games Workshop made him selfish. Same with Thoric Ironblow and the Far Ranger and all those guys. They are now selfish, self-absorbed, free roaming single agents that are your ally. Okay? If you choose the Dispossessed keyword. So now what happens as we move into Cities of Sigmar, they have the Cities of Sigmar keyword. They also have the Order keyword, and they have the Dispossessed keyword. So that's our 3-switched Warhammer computer, the 3 toggles. Pardon me, 3 toggles. Forces of Order army that can only use the Order allegiance abilities, nothing else. The Dispossessed toggle switch, which makes any of the Order guys into allies, and only the Dispossessed guys can use their thing as a unit, in conjunction, coherency with one another, whatever you want to say. Now we've got the third one, Cities of Sigmar. So what happens with Cities of Sigmar is the guys that are remaining on the Games Workshop website, the models that are still there, form their own army. However, they can also join others. So my dwarves can join what used to be known as Empire. Well, okay, my Dwarden can join the Free Peoples, the Wanderers, whatever. You can combine all those guys as whatever you want into cities. However, Dwarf Warriors, the Cannons, the Thunderers and Quarrelers, the Unforged, those guys can only be played now until they redo the General's Handbook. Those guys can only be played as, you know, under the Dwarden or the Dispossessed toggle switch that shuts off the Order switch that makes anything that's not got the Dispossessed keyword in there into your ally. It works the same way with cities now. So anybody that doesn't have the cities keyword in there cannot benefit from the cities abilities. So for instance, they're bringing out Greywater Fastness, which I'm interested in because that is like the cannons and the handgunners and all this kind of stuff all together. So with like your... Okay, I'm rusty. I only read this like twice, okay? But there's an ability in the Greywater, or the... whatever the city I just said, that gives a +3 to the range of your cannons, or your artillery, because now it is the Hellblaster volley gun and the Hellblaster death rug thing, right? So that gives it the +3. So under this understanding, if I bring in the cannons from the Ironweald arsenal from before, the models that just fell off, right? That Games Workshop, they want you to play them. They don't want to make them, and they don't want to sell them to you. This is what's going on. They want to focus into the new stuff, which is Cities of Sigmar. So now they've refined their original lists of what they want to become the Cities of Sigmar. They're still saying, no, play everything you want. And you know where they're saying that? Right here in your pitch battle profiles for 2019, which came with your General's Handbook. All your points values are in here, okay? These have not gone away. These will be changed when they do the General's Handbook 2020. So until essentially like 6 or 7 months, because they do that every summer, right? So we're October. So October to, let's say, June next year, you can still play everything you got. And the other part that's nice about this is toward the back, you have your additional battle profiles here. And oh, what's in here for Order? Let's see here. Oh, look at this. I have the Dwarden Bolt Thrower, #1 thing. Now the Dwarden Bolt Thrower, of course, is sitting over here. In fact, I almost turned right to the page. Okay. It's right there. Dwarden Bolt Thrower. All the properties are here, but again, this is a free agent acting on its own. So that means that in that order battle, order, when you turn the toggle switch on to order, that can go into your order army. When you switch it over to Dispossessed, that thing becomes an ally. When you switch to Cities of Sigmar, that becomes an ally. The warriors and the quarrelers and stuff that don't have Cities of Sigmar become an ally. And all the Cities of Sigmar war scrolls, including like Hellblaster Volley Gun, Wanderers, something else, all those guys become cities. So we have 3 tier levels to this computer. Order, actually I guess it would be like order, Dispossessed, cities. So it all depends on what toggle switch you want to turn on for your battles. So all the guys, like I've seen in my comments in here, people are saying things like, oh, I don't like what they did with Cities of Sigmar because they got rid of the Empire General on horseback, right? Games Workshop still wants you to play Empire General on horseback until they revise the General's Handbook. So next year. So you can still play with this guy on the horseback until next year. But he will not benefit from these cities keywords. So he cannot all of a sudden become this cities general that gets plus 22,000 on his attack or whatever's going on. He cannot be that guy anymore. But if you want to field him as free peoples, he's still that guy. And if you want to field him as order, he's still that guy. But he's not going to benefit from the cities keyword stuff. So that's all that GW is doing, in my honest opinion, okay? That's why I'm asking you guys, what do you think about this? Do you think I'm like completely wacko? Is there really a computer with 3 toggle switches that, like, if this switch is off, then this and this and this. If this switch is selected, then this, and this. And if city switch is selected, then this, and this, and this. But not this, and this. Let me know in the comments below. All right, at any rate, hope you enjoy the new upcoming Cities of Sigmar book releasing tomorrow. I can't wait. And that you have many good adventures and battles in your upcoming games. And until next time, happy model building.